Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for our Growing at Home devotional. My name is Ben Lepper, administrator here at Intersection Ministries, and we hope that everyone is staying safe wherever you are, wearing your face coverings if you go out into public. And we also hope that during this season, right now, that you are feeling God's presence more clearly and more tangibly than perhaps before. See, one of the most powerfully moving aspects of God is that He seems to come to us right when we're wearing thin. Just right when we're at the end of our rope, God has this knack of stepping in and giving us strength or reassurance or provision or peace. See, something that my wife and I do at home is that we have a running document on our computer, and when we encounter a moment that is undeniably God, we write down the details of the ordeal that we were facing, and then we record the details of how God showed up for us during those times. It could be a sense of encouragement, a sense of peace, or tangible provision with resources that we were, maybe worried about. But whenever we need reassurance now, after having moved through some of those seasons, we like to go back and read through that document, which is an account of God's presence in our lives, and we're reminded of an incredible part of God's love. And that is that it is permanent and unwavering. Our Bible verse for reflection today is Romans chapter 11, verse 29. And in this verse, Paul says, "For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable." So it's a nice little verse right there that's kind of quick to the point and has some profound implications on our lives, though. See, one of the most terrifying things for us today is the thought that we might lose something or someone that we love. It seems like everywhere we turn, we're confronted with how fragile things are. A year ago today, it would have seemed like some awful science fiction movie to think that we were on the precipice of a global pandemic that would alter everything about our daily lives. And now, for many of us, we find ourselves in the middle of the wilderness, so to speak, with little idea of where we're going or when life will feel secure again. But friends, this is precisely the moment where God steps in to life on earth and shows us His light. See, His words for us today are a promise. His gifts and callings are irrevocable. They were irrevocable when the Hebrews found themselves wandering in the wilderness after leaving Egypt, and they are irrevocable for us today after leaving the safety of pre-pandemic life. God promises to be with us and to sustain us through trials that we face. And right now, we want to be authentic to the gospel. The gospel, it's not a promise that God makes us of a pain-free life. Just about every one of us has gone through profound tragedy, and if we're being honest, we'll experience loss again at some point. God's promise to us isn't that loss can be avoided through faith, but that loss can be overcome through His presence. He has called us to be lights in the darkness, and we shouldn't be taken by surprise when we find ourselves in the midst of darkness and uncertainty. See, we're called to be ambassadors for Christ, who is our anchor, to a world that's lost at sea. And this means floating along with them on the raft. Because as Paul says right here, the wonderful gifts of God are irrevocable, but also is His calling. And we are called to join the world in their pain and bear witness to the light of Christ. And for us, this calling is irrevocable. So Christianity is not for those wishing to escape the hardships of this world. It is for those wishing to heal the hardships of this world. And in the business of healing, we often get wounded. We are not to be discouraged because of this, though. The same strength, peace, and provision that allowed Christ to endure the cross goes with us throughout each day of our lives. And from the whole Intersection family, we pray for God's presence to be felt in ways that are a centering point for you during the trials of this season. And from all of us here to you, we pray for you to have a wonderfully blessed rest of your day and have a blessed time and safe time throughout this week. Blessings.